Hello everyone, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing good. This is a weekly market update live stream, and I would like to welcome all of you to the live stream. If you are new to my YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe to it. If you are not following me over Twitter, 𝗟𝘅𝗍𝗲, this is my Twitter handle. Make sure to give me a follow over Twitter as well. I occasionally post calls, updates, market updates over my Twitter account also. So please make sure to follow me over my Twitter account. And if you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. Please make sure to share the live stream also with any of your friends who are interested in crypto. So yeah, let's start the live stream. And once again, going to be an important live stream. I would try my best to explain all the possible aspects of the chart. So make sure to watch this live stream till the end. You are definitely going to not just have information related to what's happening in the market, but also I make sure to give proper reasoning and logic about what's happening in terms of technical analysis as well. All right. So before we talk about the analysis part, before we move to the analysis part, first of all, let's take a look at the economic calendar for the rest of the week. We just had the GDP data which came in, and then we had the unemployment claims also. The core PCE data is another very important metric which is scheduled to release tomorrow. And once again, this is a very important data point. And regarding these two important data points, unemployment claims and GDP, I already have a detailed post on my Twitter account. If you guys are interested, you can just go and read that. I explained in detail what exactly a negative GDP print would mean, what exactly to expect from the data, what exactly it means in a longer term. So yeah, please make sure to give this post a read. This is an educational post, and I request all of you to please engage with all of these posts. Usually I share all of this information, and the number of likes we get, it's sometimes disappointing. Only a very handful of people are interested in reading these educational posts. It takes some time to compile all of the information, takes some time to do all of these write-ups. So I would really appreciate if all of you are able to just engage with all of these posts. So once again, if any one of you are interested in in knowing what exactly this data means for the overall macroeconomic context, you can always just read this post. And by the way, soon after the live stream ends, I would be sharing another write-up on my Twitter account about what this GDP print means. Although the forecast was for negative 0.3%, but the actual number is at negative 0.2%, although we have two consecutive negative prints. But at the same time, the number came in slightly better than expected. So yeah, it's a good thing. Regarding unemployment claims, once again, I would be doing a separate write-up on that soon after the live stream ends. So please make sure to keep an eye on my Twitter account in order to understand what exactly both of these data points actually mean. Let's talk about what's happening in terms of charts. So we just had this ascending trend line on the Bitcoin chart. We know that whenever there is an ascending trend line on the chart, price would very impulsively break below the trend line. This is what exactly happened almost 24 hours ago when we had this ascending trend line. We had the first bounce at the trend line, the second bounce, the third bounce, and then a small bounce in comparison to all of these previous bounces, this one right here, and then finally we had a break below this trend line. It's a very common pattern. I have explained this time to time in my live streams, in my updates also. The price would usually break below the trend line, then it would fall back into some higher time frame support levels. This is what exactly happened in this situation also. We had this ascending trend line, then finally we had a break below the trend line. We fell back into this higher time frame support at 107,000, and then finally we had a bounce at that support level, and now we are simply just retesting this trend line. Okay. uh, Although the overall market structure, it is definitely bullish. We will be talking about that part later on, but at the same time, you know uh, in most of the cases, you would wait for price to break below the trend line and then fall back into some higher time frame support. That's where you would take a long position. Okay. And then whenever price goes back up to retest, give a bearish retest at the trend line, that's where you would take a short position, right? Not suggesting any short position right now based on different factors, based on the fact that we are still sitting at the support level, but just be a little bit cautious with any long positions that you are thinking about opening, because we are moving in the very same range and we are sitting at this trend line. We are just retesting, we're just giving a bearish retest at the trend line, so there is a possibility that we may have a move downside from here. 15 minutes until the market opens, US market opens. So yeah, wait for the reaction, because we have not seen the reaction yet on this GDP print and the jobless claims, sorry, unemployment claims. So the next thing is that we not only had a bounce at the 4-hour support level, which is 107,000 support. I have mentioned this in the previous live streams also, that 107,000, it's a strong support level. So you would always expect price to give some kind of reaction at these support level, these strong support levels. Although the first reaction happened back on 24th of May, the second reaction on 25th of May, this was the third reaction. I'm not a big fan of trading a support and resistance level at which so many different reactions are happening. So we already have seen like 3 reactions in a row at the same level, which basically means that the first reaction I would have traded that, but the second, third, I would definitely avoid trading that. But this was not just a bounce at the horizontal support, at the 4-hour horizontal support, but this was also a bounce at the two very important dynamic levels which we have always talked about: 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and the 4-hour quarterly VWAP. And you can see that we had a bounce at the 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and the quarterly VWAP, and then we had another bounce at the 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and the quarterly VWAP. This was, I guess, the fourth bounce, right? So the first bounce, after we had a break above this level back on 11th of April, we had the first bounce at these levels back on 20th of April. Then we had another precise bounce at 5th of May. And look how, this bounce that we had back on 20th of April resulted in sending price from 83,000 all the way up to 98,000. Then we had another bounce at this level, which resulted in price going from 94,000 all the way up to 105,000. Then we had another bounce at this level, 102,000, which resulted in price going up to 112,000. Then another bounce at 106,000 resulted in price going up to 110,000. So this is another bounce at 107,000. So far we have seen a reaction up to almost 109,000. But I would like to mention two things. First, if price is retesting a level over and over again and the retracement bounces, rejections, whatever you would like to call it, if these reactions are getting smaller and smaller, that's when you know that, okay, the buyers or the sellers, they are no longer interested in trading that level. So in this case, you can see that we the first time we came back down to this level, it was a huge bounce from 83,000 all the way up to like 94,000, another bounce from 94,000 all the way up to 105,000. And with the next retest, you would notice that these bounces, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Like this one was 102,000 to 112,000, this one was 106,000 to 110,000, and this one so far has been 107,000 to 109,000 almost, which basically means that these retracements or these reactions or these bounces, they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller, which basically gives you an idea that the buyers, they are simply just exhausted. The buying momentum, it's getting exhausted. So at some point in time, it's very obvious price just cannot continue to move upside forever. At some point in time, you are about to see price breaking below the 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and the 4-hour quarterly VWAP. And that might happen very soon. It really depends on different variables that we have in the market, some macroeconomic events also, because I would be talking about that part as well, that what exactly has happened in the past 24 to 48 hours. A very important news came in just 24 hours ago that I, in fact, did a write-up on that as well, that a US court has a US a court in the US has stopped Trump administration from having the Liberation Day tariffs, having the Liberation Day tariffs taking place into effect. They have halted that move. So yeah, this was a big this was a big development in terms of macroeconomic news event. And soon after the news came in, we in the equity market also and on the Bitcoin chart as well, we had a move from 107,000 up to 109,000. So that's why this move happened mainly. So many important developments are happening. You can keep track of that. But yeah, just a few days ago, Trump announced, imposing 50% tariffs on EU, and the very next day he had a talk with the EU president, and soon after that he announced that the tariffs they would be delayed till July 9th. And same is the case with the reciprocal tariffs also. Although regarding this move made by the courts, the Trump administration is saying that they have basically been criticizing the judges, the courts, and they are saying that I already have mentioned this thing. They're criticizing the courts and the judges, and they're saying that they would be doing an appeal against this move, and they would find some way to once again, impose the tariffs. But yeah, this was a positive news for the market, at least a temporary relief, and that's why the markets bounced, not just the equity markets, but the crypto market overall as well. But once again, I would like to emphasize on the fact that we are still trading above 107,000 support. We are still trading above 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and the 4-hour quarterly VWAP, and these dynamic support levels. I need not to mention the significance of these support levels over and over again, because you can already see this on the chart. Multiple times we came back down to retest these levels, and it resulted in price going back up. So it would be no surprise if price ends up creating a new all-time high, but that in my opinion is slightly difficult in comparison to these previous reactions, and I would explain to you why. In all of these previous cases, the buying momentum was generally huge, considering that we were already far away from the all-time high. At 83,000 we were far away from the 107,000 all-time high. Same was the case with this 93,000 bounce as well. Same was the case with this 102,000 bounce as well. And there was a renewed interest that a new all-time high would be created. Now that a new all-time high has been created, and now considering our proximity to the last all-time high, which is at 112,000, any long position that you would take right now is obviously going to be at a significant risk, meaning that even if you take a long position, let's suppose at the current market price, which is around 108,000, and you place your stop loss below, what target would you like to set? If let's suppose you say I'm setting a target of 120,000 or 125,000, yes, you have a very small number of tools. If we just talk about the mainstream tools, then you would have just the fib retracement levels, fib expansion levels, and the fib extension levels, basically different variations of fib levels, to point out that prices may be headed towards 115K or 125K or 130K. Apart from that, you wouldn't have the support and resistance levels, you wouldn't have the dynamic levels, you wouldn't have exponential moving averages or VWAPs or any of these things to point out that maybe prices headed towards 150K or 140K, which means that your options are going to be very limited, and you would have just one mainstream tool to find out or to say where exactly price is headed towards. Yes, almost 50 people are watching the live stream. I would really appreciate if all of you are simply just able to like this live stream and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. So we already have established this fact that nothing really has gone wrong as of yet, because we are still trading above 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, and we are still trading above 4-hour quarterly VWAP and the 107,000 support. But at the same time, we already established the fact that this time the bounce is going to be slightly different in comparison to the previous bounces, because the last bounce happened back at 102,000 and 106,000 levels, and at that time the situation was somewhat different. Now price is retesting these dynamic levels and this 107,000 support as well over and over again, which basically shows you that the buyers, they're simply just exhausted and they're not able to push the price higher. I mean, whenever a level is getting retested over and over again, and the retracement, the bounces or the rejections, they're getting smaller, how do you get the idea that the buying side or the selling side, they are exhausted. The reason is because they are not able to create new highs. Remember that whenever we retested these levels in the past, we were able to create new highs. For example, we were, the first retest happened around 20th of April, 83,000. It resulted in new highs, new local highs. Once again, we retested around 94,000. We ended up creating a new higher high. We retested around 102,000 and it ultimately resulted in price creating a new higher high. In this case, you can basically see that we gave the retest, but that retest ultimately did not result in price creating a new higher high, which is a situation that is entirely different to the previous cases, right? This is something that you definitely need to pay attention towards. Also, we are sitting at the 107,000 support. This, still remains a fact that 107,000, this is a strong support level. If you zoom out a little bit as well, you can see that we had strong resistance at 107,000. We had rejections back on 16th of December. Then we had another rejections in the month of January. Then we had rejections in the last week of Jan as well. Then we had another rejection around 12th of May as well. Then another rejection around 19th of May. So we had multiple rejections at these levels, meaning that this was always going to be a strong support once reclaimed. And this is exactly what happened in this situation also. We got a reclaim of this level, and that reclaim was a successful reclaim, and it ended up resulting in a strong bounce at this level. But the first bounce happened on 23rd of May, the second bounce happened on 25th of May, the third bounce happened on 28th of May. This generally is not considered a good thing, that price is retesting a level over and over again, and price is not really able to create any higher price is not really able to do anything. This once again generally is not considered a very good move. But I must mention here that in the past also, this has been a very common fractal. I mean, ever since we started moving from 78,000 and we made this move all the way up to 112,000, we retested these supports multiple times. I mean, 83,000 support level was retested multiple times. 88,000 was retested multiple times. 93,000, 92,000, that level was retested multiple times. We had multiple retests around 102k, 103k, but none of those retests resulted in price breaking below these support levels. It almost always resulted in price going higher, and the main reason for this was because it's a very common it's a very common fractal. It's a very common pattern for price to just continue consolidating in a range for some time after an impulsive move in one direction. So whenever there is an impulsive move in one direction, price would just continue to consolidate for some time. And this mainly happens because people are new people are getting into their positions, and then the old positions are being closed. Profit taking is happening, and because of profit taking, a lot many times you would see that price is just stalled a little bit. If I show you the USDT dominance chart just quickly, you can see that on the USDT dominance chart, we had a small period of consolidation from 20th of April to 20th of April, 12th of April to 20th of April, right? And after this small period of consolidation, we had an impulsive move downside. Once again, we had another period of consolidation starting from 23rd of April to 6th of May. Then we had an impulsive move downside. That is when the tariffs were delayed. So many important news events were happening at that time. Once again, we had another impulsive move downside, which obviously resulted in price on the Bitcoin chart going higher. Once again, we had a small period of consolidation starting from 10th of May going till 21st of May, and then we had another impulsive move towards downside. So it's a very common factor. It's a very common pattern for price to just continue consolidating after an impulsive move in one direction. So let's just quickly summarize whatever things we have talked about about the Bitcoin chart. So Bitcoin right now is sitting at 107,000 support, right? We are still sitting above a 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and 4-hour quarterly VWAP, but at the same time we have retested these levels quite a few times already, which basically shows you that the buying momentum, it could simply just be exhausted. In a short term, the short-term update is that we had this ascending trend line. Multiple bounces happened at this trend line, then we had a break below. This is a very common pattern. You would wait for price to fall back into some higher time frame support. This is what exactly happened around here. Then we came back up and retested this ascending trend line. and you would usually take a short position at this level. But since it's not a huge trend line, you wouldn't expect price to move down, to 105,000, 104,000. Since there is still a support around here, since there is still 1 day 12 period exponential moving average and 4-hour quarterly VWAP present around here. So taking any short positions around here, it would definitely not make any sense, right? So this is what we have established so far about the Bitcoin chart. One final thing I would like to mention is that, there is every possibility that price may go back down to 105,000. You may have seen a lot many people talk about 105,000. What exactly is the reason for that? What exactly is so special about 105,000? So if you would look at the higher time frame charts, and if you would just zoom out a little bit, and if you would draw the fib level starting from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, you would notice that the 61% level and the 65% fib level, they turn out to be around 105,000. And we have discussed so many times the same thing, that whenever there is a strong uptrend, whenever there is a strong downtrend, you can always make use the two most important tools you can always use. The first one being fib levels, and the second one being the volume profiles, right? So in this case, if we use the fib levels, by the way, I have not used the volume profiles in this case. Let's just see where exactly the volume profile for this move turns out to be. Okay, this is actually a good thing that the point of control, for this volume profile, if we draw it from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, turns out to be around the same level, 70%, 65%, 61%, which means, if we do not break above the 112,000 all-time high anytime soon, and if we just break below these levels, and if it's in the form of a wick, a huge sell-off candle, then there is every possibility that we may go back down to 105,000 to 104,000. We may retest this level, and then price may just continue to move towards upside. So, I must mention, this is the most important thing from this chart that we are looking at, that there is every possibility, and if you have to synchronize any long positions, you can always look at this point of control and these fib levels. You can always follow this fractal, that there is every possibility that price may go back down to 61%, 65%, 70.5% fib level. And the good part is that point of control on the daily time frame chart in this fractal is perfectly aligned with these fib levels, meaning that, and if I have to put it in the simplest possible words, there is a possibility that if we do not break above the 112,000 levels anytime soon, and if we just keep on retesting the 1-day 12 period exponential moving average and the 4-hour quarterly VWAP over and over again, then very soon we are about to see 105,000 and 104,000 retest. And if it results in a huge buyback, if it results in just a sell-off candle and then a huge buyback, then in those cases you can always take a long position immediately, or you can simply just synchronize any altcoin long positions with that. But if it results in price just staying below this level, closing a few 4-hour candles below this level, then this would be a big thing, because not only this is going to be a break below 107,000 level, but this would also be a break below the 1-day 12 period exponential moving average and the 4-hour quarterly VWAP. So once again, very simple, wait for a wick down to these levels. If that wick results in price just going back above this level quickly, then you can take a long position. But if this results in price staying below this level, 1-day 12 period exponential moving average and the 4-hour quarterly VWAP, then you would have to start reconsidering the approach, meaning that you would start thinking about the reversal as well. You would start thinking about positioning yourself into a few short positions as well. But so far, we only have very early signs of trend exhaustion, and there is no solid confirmation that the trend is about to make any kind of reversal. The trend reversal, a permanent trend reversal, a very good confirmation we would get only if we close a 4-hour candle below this low right here. That is going to be an only confirmation. But we understand this thing, and this low is around 101,000, and we understand this thing already, that whenever we are trading, we have to choose between having a good solid confirmation or entering into the trade as early as possible. Once you have the solid confirmation, which is going to be a break and close below 101,000, you wouldn't have the advantage of having the best possible risk to reward ratio. But if you enter into the position immediately right here, you may have a good risk to reward ratio, but at the same time, you wouldn't have the best possible confirmation if that short trade is going to play out or not, because at this point there is no confirmation about trend reversal. These are still very early signs, but still, the US market just opened, and so far you can see that this reaction is playing out really well. This pattern is playing out really well. We just had a break below this trend line, came back up, gave a bearish retest at the trend line, and now we are simply just headed back down to this support level once again. But 1-day 12-period exponential moving average, quarterly VWAP, they are still holding, but I don't really think that there is going to be a break above 112,000 anytime soon. All right. Finally, let's just draw the point of control on the 4-hour time frame chart as well, because on the daily time frame charts, because each one of these candles represent a daily time frame, so you wouldn't have the best possible you wouldn't have the best possible candle lows. So in this case, this is a candle low. So let's just draw the point of control from the start of impulsive wave, which was this one, to the end of impulsive wave. In fact, let's just draw it from this point, because that is slightly better in comparison to the previous one. So if we use this point of control, which is slightly better in comparison to the previous one, then in that case, you can see that the point of control turns out to be around 106,450. So there might be a possibility that a bounce may happen around 106,450, although price went as low as 106,642. We missed this point of control by $400. But yeah, let's just wait for the reaction, and let's just based on the reaction decide if we should be getting into any long positions or not. But ideally speaking, I would wait for a major drop. Ideally speaking, I would wait for price to just drop a little bit, and then I would position myself into long positions. These smaller sell-off candles are not really good, in my opinion, to get into any long position, right? At the same time, just a small update for you guys. At the same time, we have this descending trend line also. Now, this descending trend line may not completely play out. This is not the best possible example of a descending trend line, but it may very well still be in formation. For a descending trend line to be completely formed, or any kind of trend line to be completely formed, you would need at least 3 possible confirmations. The first one has been done, the second one has been done. So at some point in time, whenever price goes back up to retest this trend line once again, you are most probably about to see another rejection at this trend line. But since so far there is no trend line in formation, so no point drawing it right now. As of now, this is the update from the Bitcoin chart. Let's take a look at the USDT dominance chart as well, because we know that USDT dominance chart, it is equally important. Now, USDT dominance chart, first of all, it has, just like Bitcoin is staying above 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and 4-hour quarterly VWAP, the USDT dominance chart has repeatedly failed to break above both of these dynamic levels, 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and the 4-hour quarterly VWAP. And this is very important once again, because you would have to see both of these charts side by side. Once Bitcoin has to break below 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and 4-hour quarterly VWAP, USDT dominance would have to fully reclaim these levels. But since we have seen so many different failed attempts, the first one was around here, the second one was around here, the third one was around here, which gives you an idea that this chart is slightly noisy in comparison to the Bitcoin chart, because on the Bitcoin chart, we have not seen any major break below. And once again, you cannot just take a look at the one chart and decide. For example, if you were to only look at the USDT dominance chart, you would have decided that, hey, look, the break has already happened. But once you look at the Bitcoin chart, you decide that no, the break has not happened. It only resulted in VIX, right? So in both of these charts, you would have to look side by side in order to decide what exactly is happening. So USDT dominance chart is definitely struggling to break above 1-day 12-period exponential moving average and 4-hour quarterly VWAP. You can see this right in front of you. Secondly, while Bitcoin was, trying to break below the, an ascending trend line, USDT dominance chart at the same time was trying to break above an ascending, above a descending trend line, right? But I would like to, ignore both of these, trend lines and the dynamic levels. I would like to focus mainly on this resistance level and this support level, because I really want to keep things simple. I don't want to get into this lower time frame noise. So on the higher time frame, you would notice that we have this 4-hour resistance around 4.65, around 4.70%, and then we have this 4-hour support around 4.42%. So very simple, you know, if price goes back up to retest this resistance level, you would position yourself into long positions on any of these different charts on Bitcoin or any other altcoins that you are looking at. If this chart drops back down to this support level, you would position yourself into any short positions, because you would expect USDT dominance to go up from here. USDT dominance going up from here would basically mean that Bitcoin would go down from here. Okay, so these two levels you would have to just focus on, and based on that you have to decide if you should be taking a long position or short position. It's very simple. I cannot give you any more than that. If we break above this level, then we would most definitely go back up to 4.92% level, which is going to be 92,000, 93,000 on the Bitcoin chart. If we break below this level, then we would ultimately go up to 125,000, 120,000 on the Bitcoin chart. That territory has not been touched as of yet, so we cannot say anything about that. But once we break above this resistance level, you would have to be really careful. That is going to be a very strong sign that Bitcoin is about to make a huge move downside and is about to make a reversal. In terms of market structure also, the market structure, I just showed you that on the Bitcoin chart, it's fairly bullish on the 4-hour time frame chart. Same is the case with the USDT dominance chart as well. And it's quite easy to find out, right? You would draw an impulsive wave, you would have a corrective wave, another impulsive wave, you would have a corrective wave, then you would have an impulsive wave, then you would have a corrective wave. Okay, so looking at this market structure, it's obviously visible that, let me draw it again for you. You have an impulsive wave, then you have a corrective wave, you have impulsive wave, corrective wave, impulsive wave, and then the corrective wave is in formation. Two things. First of all, if you have to see any change of character, market structure shift, or a reversal on the USDT dominance chart, then it needs to break and close a 4-hour candle above this major swing high, which is going to be a sign, which is going to be the ultimate sign, the strongest possible sign that the market structure shift is happening on the USDT dominance chart, and we are about to make a similar kind of reversal on the Bitcoin chart as well, right? So this is something that you would refer to as, in terms of market structure language, you would refer to it as a change of character. If we break and close a 4-hour candle below this low, this is something that you would refer to as break of structure, and this would be representation. This would be an indication that we are about to just continue with the same trend, and break of structure usually defines a continuation of the trend. A change of character usually defines a reversal of the trend, right? Anything which is happening in between these two levels, which is the major swing high and the major swing low, that very much is simply just noise. Or to put it in more formal words, to put it in more sophisticated words, that simply is just the internal structure. So two external structural points we have already established, 4.37 and 4.77%. If we break above this level, 4.77%, and close a 4-hour candle above, that is going to be a reversal. And if we break below this level and close a 4-hour candle below this low, that is going to be the continuation of a trend. Anything which is happening in between is simply just noise. It's simply just internal structure, and don't really have to be worried about that, right? Price may just simply continue to do anything in between, and that would not really matter, right? If we break and close a 4-hour candle below this level, you can take a long position on Bitcoin, being confident that we're about to make another move upside. If we break and close a 4-hour candle above this level, you can confidently take a short position on Bitcoin, considering that we will go up to 4.94% level, and the trend reversal has happened, and possibly we will go higher as well, maybe up to 4.18% level or even higher as well, right? So these two important points you have to take care of. Secondly, if you would draw the fib levels from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave, we have so far stayed below we saw a rejection at 61%, 65% fib level, just like I showed you. This is a very common pattern. 61%, 65% rejections happen every now and then, and this is what exactly we saw happened on the USDT dominance chart as well. We had a rejection that was a slightly deeper rejection in comparison to the previous ones, because if you would draw the fib levels in the previous cases, you would notice that we did not go as deep as 61%, 65%. We retraced from 38.2% or from 50% level, which usually shows you that the trend that you are looking at is extremely strong. In this case of the USDT dominance chart, since it was a bearish trend, since it was a downward trend, it basically showed you that the trend is really strong and we would just continue with the same momentum, right? And that is why you are not having deeper retracements. But whenever you have deeper retracements, that's when you know that okay, the trend is, it's not a very strong confirmation, but once again it's simply just an early warning sign that because possibly the sellers in this case, they are exhausted a little bit. And in the case of the Bitcoin chart, the buyers, they're exhausted a little bit, and major profit taking events are happening. And that is why, and if you look at the retail data, most of the people who took their long positions, most of the people who jumped into Bitcoin spot positions, I'm talking about the retail positions, they mainly opened their positions around 92,000, 93,000. And you tell me, if you had bought Bitcoin around 92,000, 93,000, and now that the price is sitting at 108,000, 110,000, would you not like to take profits off your position? The answer is yes, you would definitely like to do so, right? So it's very common for price to just stall a little bit. It's very common for price to be exhausted a little bit. And this is what exactly is happening in the case of the Bitcoin chart as well, right? So these two levels you would have to focus on. We have seen retracements. These retracements, deeper retracements, could be early signs that major profit taking events are happening. You are seeing some kind of exhaustion in the trend, and that is why you need to be a bit careful, right? Let's take a look at the _D chart as well. I believe that this is a chart that you guys are almost always concerned about. _D chart, the same story. We are trading below 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, a 4-hour quarterly VWAP, 4-hour yearly VWAP. We have been struggling to break above these levels. If I just turn off the VWAP lines, you can see that 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, how beautiful this indicator really is. And by the way, if any one of you would like to have access to these indicators, you can always join the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video and in the chat box as well. You can join the Discord server, request a script for these indicators, and it would be shared with you. And by the way, once again, 50+ people watching the live stream, only 31 of you have liked it. Who are these 19 people who don't want to like the live stream? So please do that. I would really appreciate it. So on the _D chart, what exactly is the reason why market has been more difficult to trade during the past 2 weeks? Let me explain this in the simplest possible words. _D, which mainly dictates what happens with altcoins, has been trading above the support level for quite some time, right? And has been trading in between these levels for quite some time. So, you obviously cannot take any short positions. You would have to rule out any kind of short positions because _D is sitting at support. So taking any short positions, it would definitely not make any sense. But what about the long positions? No, when you consider long positions, then at the same time, _D has been failing to reclaim the 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, 4-hour quarterly VWAP, and the 4-hour yearly VWAP. So you really have a very limited choice. And I would tell you what exactly the choice is, right? You cannot take short positions because _D is sitting at support. Taking any short position makes absolutely no sense, right? You cannot take any long positions because _D is struggling to break above, or is struggling to make any moves, is struggling to break above 1 day 12 period exponential moving average and the 4-hour quarterly VWAP. So what are your options exactly? Your option is to find one coin, and if we just talk about any of these exchanges, let's talk about BLOFIN. There are 450+ pairs available for future trading on BLOFIN. You have to find that 1 or 2 pairs which would outperform the rest of the market, meaning that you would have to find one of these 2 or 3 pairs that are going to be in the top gainers, and that really is a very difficult task in my opinion, right? So that is why trading these markets has been slightly difficult in comparison to the past, in comparison to the first week of May, and that is why it has been a slightly difficult approach, right? So you have to find once again one coin, 1 or 2 coins that would outperform the rest of the market. For example, if we look at the top gainers list, you can see that 𝗏𝗏𝗏, this is 34% up, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, that is 27% up. So you have to, out of those 450 pairs, you would have to find that one coin which would be in the top gainers, and that definitely is a very difficult approach in my opinion, right? So that is why options are limited. If we talk about the _D chart, _D just formed this descending trend line. But it's a very 50-50 kind of situation. I would say it's more like a coin flip, taking any trade right now, because if that trade ends up not being in top gainers, once again you are absolutely cooked, because others.d just continues to struggle, breaking above 1-day 12 period exponential moving average. At the same time, we have a small hope. Okay, I would not really rely on this, on this trend line, but we have a small hope that because we have a descending trend line, so there is a possibility that we may have a break towards upside. We have first attempt on breaking, sorry, we had the first rejection, the second rejection, the third rejection. So the authenticity of this descending trend line has now been confirmed. But at the same time, the bad part is that we are trading below 1-day 12 period exponential moving average. We are trading below 4-hour quarterly and ELD VWAPs, and we are trading very weak at this 4-hour support. And we may have a break towards downside at any moment. You can see this for yourself and decide that we are just sitting very weak at this 4-hour support. We had multiple bounces, the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I would not really want to take any long position right now, because it is going to be extremely risky at this moment, right? But at the same time, if we look at the higher time frame context, right, if we take a look at the others.d chart, and that is going to happen, and that approach is going to play out in the next 1 month or so. If we take a look at the daily time frame chart for others.d, you can see that this $300 billion level has been really important for altcoins. We had rejections at this level in the past. For example, when an altcoin rally started during the first 2 quarters of 2024, that is when we had reclaimed the $300 billion level. And this is exactly what you want, right? This is exactly what you need to look at. This is exactly the chart you need to pay attention to. This is exactly the chart you need to be focused on. This chart is showing you that the $300 billion level is really important. We had a break above this level back in the month of March, and that is when a broader altcoin rally started. If you guys remember, we had a break above this level back in the month of November, soon after the elections, and that is when a broader altcoin rally started, if you guys remember. Now we are simply just struggling to break above this level, right? But the good part is that, and back in 2021 also, back in 2021, the same level we had a break above, and that is when an altcoin rally started. So I'm saying that if there is any altcoin rally, and I would not say that it is going to be any different than what we have seen in the first quarter of 2024, it is not going to be any different than what we have seen in the last quarter of 2024 in November, and in January. But even if it happens to be a similar one to what we saw in these 2 quarters, then that is more than enough for me. And I'm telling you that, and for that to happen, price has to reclaim the $300 billion level on the others.d chart. But what exactly is the good news? The good news is that this chart loves trend lines, right? I can show you multiple trend lines. There is this trend line information, a descending trend line, still information of first rejection, second rejection, third rejection, fourth rejection, which means the authenticity of this trend line has been confirmed. I can show you multiple trend lines on this chart. You can see that there was this another trend line that we had a break above back on 8th of May. There is another trend line information that I just showed you. There was another trend line starting from 16th of Feb to 22nd of April, when we had a bigger bounce in the altcoin market, when most of these altcoins bottomed a little bit. We had a similar kind of trend line back in the month of November, soon after the election, that resulted in all of these altcoins rallying. We had a similar kind of trend line, which we had a break above. If you guys remember, the first rate cuts, after the COVID, back in the month of September 2024, we had a break above the similar trend line. So, I one thing that I love about technical analysis, and the one thing that I love about these charts, is that all of these things, they're perfectly synchronized with each other. So apparently, back on 19th of November, we had a bigger altcoin rally. We had all of these altcoins moving up. We had a rally in the in the crypto market as a whole. The reason apparently was because we had first rate cuts in the 4-year. But if you look at the charts, we had rally because others.d was breaking above the trend line. Same was the case right here. We had a rally on the others. We had a rally in the crypto market because Trump won the elections, and he was supposed to be a crypto-friendly president, right? But at the same time, on the others.d chart, we had this descending trend line, and we were just breaking above this trend line. Same was the case here. Back in the month of April, 20th of April, we had a pause on tariffs, and that is why we had a rally in the market, in the altcoin market, and in the crypto market as a whole. But at the same time, if you look at the chart, this was happening because on the others.d chart, we were breaking above this trend line, right? So two very important things: $300 billion level, that is a really important level. But at the same time, I believe that we are about to see a break above this level very soon. That is not going to happen anytime soon. At least it would take 1 month or so, because if you look at this doodle, you can see that this is a daily time frame chart, and we can just continue to move in this in this range for quite some time. And if we just do a rough estimate, it's 29th of May today, and if we just continue to move in this range, there is still room, by the way. And we can continue to do that till 27th of June, right? So there is still enough room, there is still enough daily candles left, which could fit inside this region, which means that it would still take at least 1 month to break above this trend line. I can wait for 1 month, but I'm just telling you that if you look at the higher time frame charts, that is a really good thing. And the second best part is that we have this very beautiful looking inverse head and shoulder chart pattern. Inverse head and shoulder chart pattern, that is a bullish reversal chart pattern. After the formation of this pattern, you will be expecting the price to make a bullish move towards upside. But the conditions for this pattern are that it has to be formed at the end of a downtrend. It has to be formed not in the middle of a trend. It has to be formed at the end of a downtrend. It has to be formed at some higher time frame support level, and it has to break above the neckline in order to confirm that, okay, this is an authentic inverse head and shoulder chart pattern. All of the conditions are perfectly satisfied around here. We have this pattern formed at this higher time frame, daily time frame support level. It's a beautiful, and another condition, obviously, that it has to look like an inverse head and shoulder chart pattern. It has to look like a head and shoulder chart pattern. And obviously this definitely looks like an inverse head and shoulder chart pattern: first shoulder, second shoulder, right shoulder, left shoulder, and head in the middle, which is a very beautiful bullish reversal chart pattern. And then you have a break above the neckline, you have the retest of the neckline, which basically shows you that this trend has obviously reversed. If you look at the market structure, we had a break above this high, which basically showed you that a change of character has already happened. Another good thing, another best thing, that the neckline break has already happened. We have retested the neckline, so almost all of the conditions are satisfied. Now all you have to do is just wait for a month, and wait for the price to break above this neckline. And if you really want to get into any altcoins, set an alert around here, around at $250 billion level. Whenever this retest happens, that is going to be a good opportunity to position yourself into swing long positions, into spot positions, and then simply just wait for a breakout, wait for a break above this trend line, wait for a break above this 4-hour resistance level, and that's when you are going to have an altcoin rally, in my opinion. I would be quickly taking the questions, because I have been told multiple times by my audience and by my team that they usually get bored during these streams because the market update is usually very long. But I cannot help explaining all of that stuff, because there are so many things happening in the market always, so you cannot just pack all of that stuff into a 20-minute live stream. So that is why I try to keep it as detailed as possible. So I would just quickly take the questions that you guys have put in the chat box. But before I do that, once again, requesting all of you to please like the live stream. We have a target for at least 100 likes for this live stream. Even after the video is uploaded, you can simply just share with your friends who are interested in crypto, who are interested in having all of this information. Please make sure to like the live stream. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed. And if you're not following me over Twitter, 𝗟R𝘁𝗲𝗏, this is my Twitter handle. And make sure to give a follow over Twitter as well. If you would like to receive more organized updates and calls, you can always join the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. Let's take the questions quickly. I have an innocent question. Okay, where is the old Sherlock, and when will he come back? Is it the market that you are too cautious? Yeah, you can blame it on the market. Whenever we have the best market conditions, we usually have 3-4 calls a single day as well. But whenever the market conditions are not favorable, you cannot have, you cannot really force the market. Sometimes remember that no trade is the best trade, right? Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm trying to say. I just explained to you all of that market is literally trading in the middle of nowhere, right? So that is why, and it's not best to position yourself into any any position right now. We just had almost 24 hours ago, we had this position on 𝗖𝗍𝗶𝗃, and you can see this for yourself. That coin just made a 2%, 3% move and then went down immediately, right? Every now and then we would have a move up to 112,000, sorry, 110,000, then a quick sell-off candle down to 107,000. So in my opinion, it's not feasible to take any position right now as soon as I have position. And please remember that I'm a full-time trader. I'm always looking at these charts almost 16 to 17 hours a day. I'm looking at all of this information, looking at all of these charts. So whenever I find a setup, whenever I find a position, you would have that position as soon as possible, right? I just cannot hold back onto it. But yes, it has been slightly difficult to trade the market. I was about to trade the SPX. I was about to get into this position, but unfortunately, once again, I went with 𝗖𝗍𝗶𝗃, thinking that because it's an AI agent coin, so maybe, it would have some kind of impact because of Nvidia's positive earning reports that, released yesterday. And that is why I went with 𝗖𝗍𝗶𝗃 and not with SPX. And look what happened. SPX resulted going making a move of almost 20%. And this is why it has been so difficult that you have to find one coin that would outperform the rest of the market, right? Which is really difficult in my opinion. Can we still pump a lot in altcoins based on the falling wedge forming in the others.d? It's not really a falling wedge, it's a descending trend line, but yeah, you can call it a falling wedge as well if you would draw another trend line on that chart. And yes, it's quite possible, and I already explained that. You posted on X yesterday about an expected others.d, an altcoin breakout soon. Yes, I am still expecting that, Anthony. Are you still expecting this given that you think BTC will head down soon? It's not about BTC heading down. BTC just can continue to consolidate in the range, let's suppose 92k to 107k. So an altcoin rally, it's still very much possible, but who knows, maybe we would have a bigger upside move in the Bitcoin. You never know, right? We may have a move up to, remember that for the altcoins to outperform Bitcoin has to remain stable around the current prices, right? That is really important. Will you look into taking a setup anytime soon? I'm always looking for setups, right? I'm always looking for these setups. Sorry for another question. No, that's okay. You can always have question. What would you recommend regarding long-term spot bags? I would suggest holding on to your bags for some time, because I just explained to you that others.d has a very beautiful trend line. Trend has been reversed in terms of market structure, in terms of chart patterns. So it's very soon going to be it's very soon going to make a move towards upside. Many lose in a bull market as well. Do you think as a trader, does it matter to be a bull or bear? And also the cycle, the bear market is slightly difficult to trade in comparison to the bull market. The reason is that most people refuse to accept that it's a bear market, right? And by the time they realize, it's already too late. Okay, so that is why it's much better in comparison to trade a bull market, because in bull market you would have all of these things rallying all across the board, but you need not to be a perma bull or perma bear. I usually don't like that. You just have to trade the market, whatever market is offering you. And look what market is doing right now. It's literally not offering anything. So it's been really difficult, right? Thank you so much, AB. Thank you so much for that. AB is saying, I'm usually dependent on your market opinions and calls and never take trades otherwise among the many others. Thank you so much. David is asking, your analysis are always very accurate. Could you please show us at which fib level you look at? These are the settings for my fib levels. I'm usually waiting for price to go back down to 61, 65 and 70.5% fib level, or 0.705 and 0.65% fib level, 65% fib level. These are the two fib levels I'm always focused on. Will you still make the big short you talked about months ago? Yes, I would definitely do that given that we have any opportunity. This cycle, we have so many coins launching each day. Yes, as per an estimate that I looked at almost a month ago, we have now 30 million tokens. And, we have now 30 million tokens in circulation, and every single day, hundreds and thousands of different tokens are being created. So yeah, so the fact remains that the market cap remains diluted in comparison to the previous cycles, but mostly it's it's centered in some of the biggest market cap coins. It's not like all of the capital is diluted. So yeah, it's slightly difficult in comparison to the last cycle. Yeah, shorting is a bit easier, but no, if you do not accept that it is a bear market. Remember that the market would not tell you if it's bear or bull, right? I mean, how many of you would know if market just created a new all-time high for the next 4 years already? How many of us would know that? And anyone claiming to know about this, anyone claiming to know that they already have access to this information is simply just, lying to you. I'm not an expert with fib level. That's why I asked, could you please show how do you apply them on your chart? I would have to explain this in a separate live stream. If you guys want, I can have a separate video uploaded on that, showing you how to draw the fib levels. But generally, you draw the fibs from the start of impulsive wave to the end of impulsive wave. But how to identify these impulsive and corrective waves, that is totally different story. That's a totally separate story. So I would suggest, waiting for another video on this. I have been thinking about, my team has suggested me this thing. I have been thinking about, uploading separate educational content on YouTube channel as well. Okay, that is going to be a big step forward. We are already thinking about doing that. So yes, very soon you're going to have small educational videos, small educational content videos uploaded on the YouTube channel, right? I would try to do it as soon as possible. So yes, it's going to take some time. Yes, exactly. This is what I'm saying, that no one would know. You would never really know if price already has made a new all-time high and is about to make a reversal, right? Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining in. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. If you still have any questions, you can always join the Discord server. The link you can find in the description of this video. I would be here to respond to any of your questions. You can always avail the free trial, free 15-day trial of our Discord server. All you have to do is you need to have a BLOFIN account. You need to have an account on BLOFIN, and you need to deposit just $100 into that account. And if you already have a BLOFIN account, just simply send us your UID in that, in a Discord support ticket, and we would give you free access to Discord server. That's all you have to do, literally. And if you're not following me over Twitter, make sure to follow me over Twitter, 𝗟R𝘁𝗲𝗏. This is my Twitter handle. I occasionally post calls, market updates over my Twitter account as well. So make sure to give a follow over Twitter. And finally, you can always join the Discord server. Please make sure to like this live stream. I have been really asking for that. Please make sure to like this live stream. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please make sure to share this content with any of your friends, family, whoever might be interested in hearing about all of these things. So thank you so much once again for joining in. Take care and have a great week ahead. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for anyone who joined using our referral link on BLOFIN. We really appreciate that. If you did not do that, if you already have a BLOFIN account, you can always send us your UID and we would assist you, with all the information possible, right? Thank you so much, guys, for joining in. Take care. Have a great week ahead. See you guys next week. And yes, we are still working on uploading educational content, and very soon you would have more educational content being uploaded on YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.